Okay, this is part 8 in our series of developing a graphical user interface application using Lazarus and free Pascal. Today we're going to continue working on the user password application window, that window that adds a new user to the system. And today, before we actually store this new user record, the first thing we got to do is we have to evaluate that the password that's entered complies with our rules for what a valid password is. So that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to write a unit that does the evaluation and then also can generate a string indicating whether the password entered is valid or not. And we're currently looking at the user add window that we developed in part 7. And today we're going to write an independent unit, a unit that doesn't have any form attached to it, that strictly is used to evaluate whether a password is correct or not. So, in order to do that, let me get my cheaters on. We're going to go to the File selection in our toolbar, and we're going to say New Unit, not New Form, New Unit. We'll click that. We have our new unit. We're going to give this unit a name, and we're going to call this unit password eval for evaluate. So let's change this name right away. We start it with a lowercase u, and then we say password eval. And that takes care of that. Now, down in the implementation, this is where we begin writing our code. So we need to figure out what our rules are going to be for our passwords. Let's up here, let's use some comments right below the unit. Let's start adding some comments that explain this a little bit. We could just right here say evaluates and entered password to determine if it complies with our password rules. Okay, went off the edge here. We'll just wrap that like that. All right. So what are our rules? So let's go ahead and put that in here too. Password rules. Okay. Password rules. What are they? Let's list them. Well, I guess the first rule is going to be that it must contain at least one uppercase alpha. And we'll just say A through Z. There we go. What's another good rule? It must contain a lowercase. So I say we must have. I guess we should put have. Here we go. Must have at least one lowercase alpha. A through Z. All right. And it must have at least one numeric character, and that would be 0 to 9. And it must have at least, boy, fat fingers today, at least one special character. And that would be the characters such as exclamation point, @ pound, dollar, that sort of thing. All right, it's got to have one of those. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. All right, and we're going to implement. So we're going to have let's also comment how this is going to work. So this evaluator is going to produce an integer, a binary number, and the binary number will be the sum of values. So for example, if, let's just go to the end of this line, and we will say, so we will have up here, we'll just say value. Okay. So if it has one or more uppercase alphas, that's going to give it a value of 1. Okay. If it has one or more alpha lowercase letters, that'll give it a value of 2. If it has a numeral in it, it will add a value of 4. And if it has a special character in it, it will add a value of 8. Oh, and there's one other. We got one other thing that must be satisfied, and that is must consist of 8 characters or more. There we go. And when that's true, it will add a value of 16. Oops, go back, 16. So if it meets all of the criteria that all 5 elements that we've defined here, that means it will add up to what? It will add up to what? It will add up to 16, 8, 4, that's 28, 29, 30, 31. It'll add up to 31. There we go. So that's, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'll go up here like this, enter new line. There we go. And we say 31. Oops. There. So it's going to have to add up to 31. Okay, so 31 is a valid password entered. So I guess I could just in here, let's turn on overlay, value derived for a good password. Like that. There we go. And go back to insert. There we go. And I'll add another comment line to space that out a little. All right. So that's how this is going to work. All right. So now we're going to write the unit. We need to write the unit that's going to do this. So this is going to be called password eval. All right. And we're going to pass it a password. So we're going to pass it a password, and that password is, it's a string. Right. And now we're going to return an integer from this. Okay. And this is the beginning of this unit. And we might go ahead and put the end in. So this is the end of the defined unit. All right. Now, we've got to have, we're going to be building an integer to return. So let's just give, let's go up here and say it has a variable in it, and the variable is I, which is an integer. Okay. And when it starts off the evaluation, well, the I is actually an index. Oh, okay. Let's say, okay, we better define what this is. So this is an index into this string. Let's say the password string, into the password string. Okay, that's what that is. All right. Now, what's the first thing we're going to do? Well, we're going to set the return value. Okay, so password eval is an integer. So password eval starts off set equal to 0. Okay. Okay, so this says this is a completely invalid password. In other words, to start off with, this password is absolutely completely failed. It's not 8 characters long. It doesn't have any uppercase, no lowercase, no numerals, no special characters in it. That's what 0 would mean. Okay. And then one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to test to see if it's a 0-length password. So we will say if the length of password is equal to 0, then exit. Then exit. Space that over a little bit more. There we go. That's fine. Okay. So in other words, return eval equal to password eval equal to 0. There's nothing entered. Okay, the next step. Now we're going to have to scan. We need to scan through this password. The password will, so we'll use a for loop for that. So we'll just say for I equals 0 to 1, no, to length of password. There we go. That'll take all of the letters in the password. Do begin. In other words, begin this loop. And I'm going to go ahead and put the end for the loop in. And, you know, if your code gets really long, what you can do is when you put the end in, you can actually say end of, and then you come up here and take this, copy this, Control C, down, end, Control V. That tells you what that's the end of. Kind of serves as a sentinel for you. Okay, So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start testing, is this letter uppercase or not? Test for uppercase alpha. All right. So we're going to say if, we don't need that, if password, and we're indexing it, right? So we're going to use I, and learn to spell password. Fat finger problem there. Okay, if the password I is greater than or equal to the uppercase A, right? If it's greater than or equal to this, and I think we need to enclose that. I think I need to enclose this. Yeah, let's do that, just to be safe. Okay. And if the logical evaluation of password I is less than or equal to the uppercase letter Z, then we've got an uppercase letter. So what do? So we'll say then that password eval is set equal to password eval or 1. Not add 1, we're oring 1 to it. Okay? All right. That's correct. Okay, so the next thing is, well, if it wasn't that, then we'll test for this. Test for lowercase alpha. Now what we could do there, we could do a continue, because we don't, once we've passed a test, we don't need to test anything else. We need to go move on. So let's do this. Begin, and then this, and then we will say continue, which means skip the rest of the statements and go to the next increment of I. So that's what we're going to do here, right? Yeah, back. Shift back tab. No, shift back tab doesn't work. That works. Backspace. End. All right. Now we're moving on to testing for our lowercase. Well, the lowercase is almost all the same stuff above, right? So instead of typing all this in over and over again, let's just copy this and make a few changes to it. This is dangerous because it's easy to screw this up. All right, so we're going to say lowercase a, lowercase z. If it's true, we're going to OR it with 2. Okay. Now we're to numerics. So let's just copy that again. Put in our comment. So we're going to say test for numeric. And this is going to say if it's between 0 and 9. And we're going to add, we're going to OR 4 with it. Okay. And finally, we're a special, the special characters. This is going to take a little bit more magic. And you, as a little homework assignment, you need to look up the ASCII alphanumeric code tables, and you'll see why I'm doing it this way. As soon as you do that, test for special characters. Alrighty. And this if is a little more complicated. So we're going to say if password pointed at by I, is greater than or equal to, and the first possible special character is exclamation mark, and password character is less than or equal to slash or. So in other words, we just tested a range from exclamation point to the slash character. Now we have to test another group of possible special characters. So now what I could do, let's save some time. Let's just go copy this, Control C down, Control V. Okay, the next range we're going to check is from colon, this character, to the @ sign. That's another group of special characters, right? Come down. All right, now we're going to test. Yeah, when I need that, we do Shift Insert. Okay, the next group of possible characters was the square bracket to the underscore. Okay, this is the underscore. All right. And then the next, and I think this is the final group. Yes, it is. It's from the curly brace, opening curly brace, to the ending curly brace. Now, this does not absolutely, totally, completely cover every special character, but it's most of them on the keyboard, and it's the ones that we're going to accept. All right. And if this is all true, so in other words, if it's exclamation mark to slash, or it's colon to @ sign, or it's the square bracket to the underscore, or it's from the opening curly brace to the ending curly brace, if those are, any of those are true, then we have a good special character. So then we'll say then begin, and let's backspace here a little bit. That's good. And we're going to say password eval is equal to password eval or 8. Okay. All right. And the final thing we need to test is the length of the password greater than or equal to 8. So we just say here test for minimum length, right, of 8 characters. So we have an if the length of the password is greater than or equal to 8, then we have, I got to learn to spell up in here. I'm making mistakes. Right here, that's password. Okay. Okay, then password eval is equal to password eval or 16. All right. That takes care of it. That's the end. That's the end of the loop. And that's the end of this function in the unit. So that's the, did I already put an end? Yes, I did. I don't need to do that again, do I? All right. And that's the end of the unit. And we can say here end of password eval unit. Oh, not unit. Function. That's the function. Okay. All right, that takes care of that. The next thing we've got to do is we need to have a message. So, in other words, when we evaluate that password and we get that integer back, then we need a mechanism that will generate a message indicating whether it was a valid password or invalid. If it's invalid, why it's invalid. So that's the next step. So here we're going to start password eval message, I guess, yeah. So the unit is called password eval MSG, not monosodium glutamate message. All right. And we're going to pass it the password eval, which is an integer, right? And we're going to return a string. It's a message. It's going to come back. And we got begin. And if we have a begin, we need an end. And that's the end of that unit. All right. Now, we're building a string. Let's see here. We didn't. Yeah, that worked. Okay. I'm doing too much thinking here. We better spell password correctly in here, right? Okay, and now oh, I got to have I'm going to create a variable and build it and then set password eval to it at the end. So we're going to have a variable and we're going to call this, it's a string and it's temporary. Okay. And it's of type string. Okay. All right. Here we go. And initially the string, when this thing starts, is going to be equal to an empty string. Okay. All right. Well, we know that if password eval, the integer, is a value of 31, we have a good password. So that's one of the first things we can check for. So we'll say if the password eval is equal to 31, then begin. And we'll just say stir temp. Oh, well, we don't even need stir temp at this point. We can just at this point say password eval message equals valid password. We'll just, yeah, that's fine. Valid password. Like that. And we can exit. We're done. Okay, and that's the end of that conditional. All right, now, so if it isn't 31, we got a problem. So the next thing is we can check the range. So we'll say if the password eval oops, I know it doesn't make any difference, but I want it to look right. Password eval is, okay, now we're going to AND, we're doing binary logic here. So we're going to AND whatever that value is with a hexadecimal number, and you represent a hexadecimal number by putting a $sign in, and we're going to use a hexadecimal number of F, okay? So we are going to mask through the lower 4 bits of password eval. So that'll cover the numbers 1, 2, 4, and 8. All right. So we're saying that if 1, 2, 4, or 8 are set, so you'll say if it's less than, if any of them aren't set. So there, in other words, if this number is less than 15, which is what F is, if it's less than 15, that means one of those bits, one or more of those bits, is a 0, okay? And that will indicate that there is an error in that group. There's something missing, right? And that's the group that says uppercase, lowercase, numeric, special character. It's all those 4, all right? All right, okay, so if that's true, right away, we're going to say, first of all, we're going to say stir temp is equal to password missing something. In other words, password's missing something. We know that based on the value we've got there, right? All right. So, and now we're going to determine what it's missing and add that to the message that we're building, okay? So at this point, we're going to say if password eval and 1. Now I could say hexadecimal 1, or you can just say 1. It's the same thing, right? Okay, if it's 1, no, if that masked by a 1 is equal to 0, then we're missing uppercase. Okay, so now we would just say, so then if we're missing uppercase, we're going to state it. So stir temp is now equal to stir temp plus a word, a statement. And it will be blank, because we have to put a blank in after missing. So we put blank and say an upper case alpha, right? And that's that. And the next thing we got to check for is if the password evaluator or evaluation integer, if that is, we AND that with 2, and if we get 0, then the temporary string will get something else appended to it. And this one's going to say a lowercase alpha, I guess. And I gotta correct this. That's supposed to be an apostrophe, not a quote. All right. Okay, and then we go to the next test, which is if it's a numeral, if there's a numeral missing. So we would say if password eval and hexadecimal 4 is equal to 0, then stir temp is equal to stir temp plus the message, a numeral. So we would say a numeral. Okay. And then finally we've got, in this group, special characters. So we would say if, we just do this again, password, eval, and hexadecimal 8, right? If that logic results in a 0, then we're going to say stir temp is equal to stir temp plus say a special character. And what happened there? I think I bumped the I bumped something. Okay. And that takes care of that piece of it. And then we got to say yeah. And that's also the end of this if statement above, right? So we would say that's the end of that. And then we're going to have to handle if it determined there was less than 8 characters. So it's going to say if password eval and hexadecimal 10 is zero, I guess, equals 0. Is that right? Is that what? I'll have to go back up and look. If that's 0, then begin. No, we don't need a then begin, do we? If the password is less than 8 characters, so we would then say okay. And now we're going to check, do we already have something in stir temp? So we're going to say if the length of stir temp is greater than 0, then we're appending additional text to this the existing message. All right? So then we would say stir temp is equal to stir temp plus, and has less than 8 characters, right? just say 8, numeral 8 characters. Okay. We don't need a period. All right. So if it's greater than 0, then this. Otherwise, if there is nothing in string temp already, then we're going to say something different. We're going to say str temp is equal to password has less than 8 characters. Okay. That's the end of that if. Okay. And there was only one statement in the other if, so there's no end to that if. Although we could do that, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I like to do that. We don't need an end, but I'm going to force it to have an end. Okay, I'm going to put a begin here. There. And that's what we need for this unit. Right. Okay. All right. And now we're going to save that. So I'm going to say save. And it's going to ask me for a name, and it's password eval, which is fine. And now we're back in our main application. It's saying this was originally called Unit 1. What's it called now? And this is password eval. And I'm going to bring that down on the next line. There. All right. Well, we haven't used it yet, so Control S to save the change to the this main program. Okay, and now we're at no, I want to bring up that window where we're adding. Did I close that? We have unit logon, we have my application, we have password eval, we have set path. Where is user add? I must have done something with user add. Okay, here's users add. And that's going to use this uses clause is the one where we're using free Pascal provided functions. So in here, I'm going to add a uses clause that's for functions that I write. So we're going to say uses password eval. Okay. And we haven't written any logic for this yet. All we have is a form. So let's take a look at our form. This is the form right now. And we fill all this information in here. And now we go to the add button. So we're going to have this add button click. And this is where we're going to use that unit that we just wrote. Okay. So if I highlight that button and I come over here to events, there is this on-click event right here. If I double-click that box, you'll see in the code for a user's ad, it has introduced a procedure which will be executed when we click the user ad button. So this is where we're going to evaluate the password. Now what we can do is we can add a variable to this procedure, and we're going to say I guess we could just say I status and call it oops, it's a colon tab. That's an integer. Okay. So when the add button is clicked, we're going to evaluate it. So what we will do is we will pass it. Now this is what we'll say. I guess we'll say I status, right? Status is equal to password eval password eval, and then what's the password? It's going to be okay. Well, there's a few things that have to happen here. First of all, I guess first thing we need to check here is to see if the confirming password matches the user password, right? So we should say if edit user password and that's text, right? If that text equals edit confirm password, and that's also text, right? If those are equal, well, if they're not equal, so we'll say if not that, then begin and something's going to happen. And what we're going to do is we're going to output a message in our panel, which, what do we call? We call that panel status. So we will say panel status dot, and that's caption equals, and the message we're going to put out. The message will be password and confirming password do not match. Here we go. And so then it will do what? It will, I think it'll go back to edit confirm password, set focus there. So we'll say edit confirm password. And that's going to be what? Set focus. Yes. And exit. I think. Well, we'll find out, won't we? So if they do match, that means we can take either one of them and do an evaluation on it. So we were going to pass the string edit user password dot text. Is this right? Is it edit user password? Yes. I don't know why this is kind of funky. Edit the user password. Text. Okay, it comes back. Now it will get a status. So it will check, it will test this. And how are we going to? So basically, we're going to have to know what a valid password is. We got to know what a valid password is. That's kind of clunky. But that's what we're going to do for now. And yeah, that's so it's just going to say if iStatus is, and again, you know, it doesn't make any difference what the capitalization is. It ignores upper and lower case. It's case insensitive, so I don't need to be fixing this. But so if iStatus is equal to 31, it's good. That's 31 is what we call a magic number in the business, and you're never supposed to have a magic number. In other words, what I should do, I should have a constant somewhere defined. Like I should do something similar, like have constant, and then say valid password, and then say, and learn how to spell valid. That would be good. And then say it's an integer and it's equal to 31. And then down here, instead of having a magic number, I would just say valid password. Like that. Right? And then what do you do when it's a valid password? Well, you would do something. Then you would store the record. We aren't there yet, but in here you would store the record, and then you would probably clear panel status to make sure that it's clean. So you'd say panel status dot caption is equal to nothing, and you'd be done. And then we'll just have a placeholder. We'll say store the new user ID and password. We're not there yet, but that's where it would go. right in here somewhere. Okay. All right. So if it's not a valid password, then what do? We have an else. Else. Begin. And then here's where we will do panel status caption is equal to password eval message and iStatus. Okay. And that would take care of that. Save this. And let's do an F. We just want to compile and see if it compiles. So we're just going to do a control F9. I'm just going to click it. And what do we get here? It says begin expected, but identifier password eval found. I guess I need a begin here. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's try it again. Let's compile it. And what do we have here? Oh my goodness. Let's fix this up. Okay, we do it again. Okay, it's saying identifier not found, password eval. Identifier not found, syntax error, expected a n paren, but found a colon. Oh, I got to put a semicolon after string. That's first of all, I believe. Let's try recompiling and see if that fixed that little problem. Okay. No, it didn't fix anything, did it? Error, identifier not found, password eval. If I click that, Now let's take a look at some code here. Oh, I didn't tell it was a function. It's a function. That is a problem there. I forgot to tell it that it's a function. And the same here. I need to tell it that it's a function and not a procedure. That will probably get rid of some problems here. I'm not sure I need a begin. I'm beginning to think I don't. Well, let's run it and let's see what it complains about. Okay. I think it didn't need that begin. So we're going to get rid of that line. Okay. And let's try building it again, compiling it. Okay, it's saying, now that I didn't need that semicolon there. All right. Compile it again. And it's saying the operator is not overloaded. Care and care. I think I can't, I think I have to include parentheses around each one of these. Yeah, this expression, password I greater than or equal in this, that's a Boolean expression, but it has to be enclosed in order to have an and. So I got to have it like this. And then I may have to even group these two together. You see what I mean? I have to group that group together because it's a range. I think the or is fine. So that's true of all of these. So I have to group these two together, and each one has to be a Boolean, separate Boolean expression. So I have to parenthesize those and then close that range. Okay, I hope you see what I'm doing here. So I have to start another group. And this is one of the members of the group. I have to enclose it. I have to enclose the next member and then close that group. That's what I got to do for all of them, I believe. I think that's why it's squawking about it. Okay. All right, so that I think will fix that little problem. Let's try compiling for errors, see what happens. Yeah, I got past that. All right. Next, it says illegal expression. All right. Illegal expression. Okay, I'm defining a function. It expected a 610. It expected an end colon, semicolon. Before it was said an illegal expression. Function password message. I don't see that being an illegal expression. So there must be something above this that it does not like. This begin. Does it match an end? This end, what does it match? That end matches that begin. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What about this begin? So I don't have a matching begin. That is the problem. What end does that match? That matches this one. Oh. So I guess I didn't need a begin here, did I? Oh, I didn't put a continue here. I was going to put a continue here, and I forgot to do that. And that's why I would need an end here. And this end is the end of the for loop, and now this is the end of that. Yeah, I think that just fixed it. Let's save what we've got changed here, and let's try doing a compile. Okay. Oh, I didn't put a closing. I don't need this opening one. I think that fixes that bug. If the length of this, then this equals this. Oh, it's not. I left the R in stir temp out. You can see the fat finger problems I've created. But it's fairly easy to find them and eliminate them. Okay. Now we're actually in user add. Okay. This is where this is now coming up. And we're saying what? Identifier not found. Edit user password. Edit user password is not found. I think there is an edit user password right here. Isn't there? Edit user pass. Oh, it's password. Oh my goodness, I misspelled password. So that's the problem. I gotta go to properties. The name is wrong. I gotta go to name, and then right here I have to put password in. That's gonna fix things. Let's do a Control S. Okay, it fixed that. That should have corrected that bug. I was wondering why it wasn't, finding that. Now that's going to fix things, I think. Yeah, see everywhere password occurred? It was giving me a... Okay, well, let's just recompile now that I fixed that. Okay. And now we're edit confirm password, and that's saying it can't find that identifier. Did I misspell that? Edit confirm password. Yes, I did. I messed that one up too. So I've got to change the name of that right here, right? Fix that to password and hit Control S to save it. And now let's recompile, see if that fixes it. Okay, we're in the next thing. It says edit confirm password, set focus. What doesn't it like about that? It says the identifier is not found. Confirm password. I thought we just fixed that, didn't we? This is in users add, and it says confirm password here. Edit confirm password. Huh. Well, that's weird. Edit confirm password, set focus. Here's edit confirm password text. What is it it's saying it can't find? What's the other one here? Password eval, it doesn't know where that is. Okay. I probably didn't tell it. No. Did I give it a uses? No, I did not. Oh, yes, I did. I did use password val right here. I gave it a uses clause. It should have found it. Okay. Got a few issues. just going to compile it one more time and make sure I'm not going crazy here. Yeah. Edit confirm password dot set focus. If we look in our, here's edit confirm password, and here's edit confirm password. That's the name. Is there a set focus for that? There should be I should be able to set the focus on that. Shouldn't I? What if I go back and I retype this just to see what it does? I hit dot. Well, that's not looking good. Oh, I misspelled it. I put confirm. You see that? Oh my goodness. No wonder. It's not confirm, it's confirm. That's why. All right. Now if I hit a dot. Oh, that's looking a lot better. Yeah. Set focus right here. That fixed that one. All right, let's compile for errors again. Okay, now we're at status is equal to password eval this. And it's saying password eval, I can't find it. And it can't find the password eval message either. Okay. And if we go back up here, users add. Here's the U password eval unit. U password eval. Okay. What I have to do here in interface is give it the prototypes. I didn't give it the prototypes. That's why it's having problems. So in here, I need to say there's a function, and the function is called password eval, and it takes a password string and it returns an integer. I need to provide this interface to other units so they know what how to parse that and make sure it's right. And then we also have the other function in here that we called password eval message, and that takes I eval integer, right? And it returns a string. Now I think that will fix it. Let's save that change, and then let's go to run. Compile for errors. Okay, so now we have a uses clause. What's it saying here? It says implementation expected but uses found. The uses clause is supposed to occur right after the word interface. That's why. So I need to move these lines up here. Yeah, those are, I think those are in the right place now. Yes. Okay, let's save that, Control S. And now let's Let's compile it. Okay. And we got more errors. Love errors. It says it doesn't match the, oh. Okay, so I need to call this password eval in my prototype definition. This has got to be called password eval. I'll call this password eval. I think that fixes it. Control S to save it. Run, compile. Guess what? We got a successful compile out of it. Well, now we can actually test it, right? So now what we'll do is let's go to user add, where we're calling this stuff now. Okay, so now we're looking at this form and the logic attached to it. Okay, and when we click the add button, this is when it'll make sure that the confirm password and the original password are matching. And if they match, then it will move on to using our password evaluation function to determine if the password is compliant with our rules. If it is, it'll return a status of valid password, which we told it was 31, the number 31. And if it's not equal to that, it will be the else condition. In the else condition, it will put in our panel, which I should put this as message M, capital M. Okay, so let's Control S that. Let's run it, and let's. I guess what we could do is when we click our add button, we can set a breakpoint here and start looking at what's happening. We can step through this and we can see what's happening. Okay, so we'll do that. All right. So let's run this baby. And here's our window. Currently, we have to use backdoor to get in because we still haven't created a user yet. We're going to users, and now we're going to add a user. Okay, and this is going to be John Smith is our user, and J Smith is our ID. And for a password, let's put in a password that's not valid. So I'm just going to put all lowercase. I'm just going to put J Smith is the password. Now this is going to fail a bunch of things, right? And J Smith again. Oh, I'll goof this one up, make sure that our confirm thing works. So I'll put capital J, lowercase Smith in, and click add and see what happens here. Okay, so here's the text that was typed in. Oh, we can't see the text, can we? Yeah, it's not going to show me the text. Yeah. Well, let's see if it passes this test. It shouldn't. So I'll hit, let's see, is it F8 that moves into, step into step over. So I want to do step into. That's F8. Yes, and it's now going to put out the message. Yes. So I'll hit F9 and see what happens here. And all right, it said password and confirming password do not match. All right. By the way, I had to get the, you would think it would bring, since I'm continuing execution, you'd think it would re-display this application window. It did not. It's kind of aggravating. So I had to go down here to this icon and click it to get this window to redisplay. So just so you know. I don't know if it does that under Windows or not. So it passed that test. And it did set focus on here. So now if I type in J. Smith, it should match. Hit add. Okay, so we're coming back. Now we hit F8. Yes, it skipped over that because they do match now. So now we're into evaluating our password. So if I hit F8, it executed our password evaluation, and what was the status that came back? The status is 2. It's not 31. So it's going to not say valid password. So let's hit F8. It's now going down here, and it's going to create a caption. If I hit F9 to just complete execution, I now have to come down here and click on this to get our window displayed. Well, that's odd. It's displaying J. Smith. Why is it doing that? Isn't that weird? It shouldn't have done that. Let's click it again. Okay, so it's going to skip this. Okay. This is code. They're showing all the code. This is nuts. They're showing all the code for these controls. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Why would you show that? I mean, if I was debugging the LCL library and I wanted to see what the control code was doing, sure, I'd look at that. But I don't want to look at that if I'm developing my application. I mean, they ought to have maybe there's a switch that shuts that off. I don't know. But that is really aggravating. That's really aggravating. Okay, so now it's going to calculate the status. Status is 2. Okay, I'll hit F8. Now I want to hit F7. I want to go into our evaluator, which it is. It's 2. So it's not a valid password. So now we do F8. it's saying string temp is, oh, I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong already. I can see it. I never set password eval message to stir temp. That's the problem. I can kill this right now. I know what I've got to do. Okay. So I will stop execution. And what I've got to do right down here is I have to say password eval message is equal to stir temp. Bingo. Okay, that fixes that. Control S to save it. Let's go for a build and run. So that's just a run. Okay, now we're back in. We're in backdoor. Oops. Backdoor. Hit enter. Okay. Now we're to files, users, add. Here we go again. John Smith. J. Smith. Password J. Smith. All lowercase. J. Smith. We had already tested the confirm compared to the original, and it worked, so we don't need to test that again. Let me click add. We've F8. F8, our status is 2, right? Yes, it's 2. So it's not going to do that. We're going to do F7, and we're going to step into the evaluator, the message, and I don't know if we can see that that's 2 or not. That number is, I don't know what that is. That's not 2. That's not 2. Let's see. I'm going to step through this, F8. And there's a password missing. Okay. F8. So there's no uppercase alphas. There is a lowercase alpha. There's no numerals. And there's no special characters. And it's the wrong length. Okay, let's hit F9 to complete execution here. And then we've got to come down here and show the window. And here's our message. The password missing an uppercase alpha, a numeral, a special character, and has less than 8 characters. So it correctly evaluated the password and came back with all of the mistakes. Okay. So let's go back to password. Delete all that, and let's delete all this. And let's go back to password, and now let's give it a password that passes. So we're going to say J Smith with a capital J and uppercase M, uppercase S, then a lowercase MITH, and an underscore that satisfies special characters. And let's see, we've got J Smith. So that's Smith has 5 J6 underscore is 7. All we need is one numeral. And I think that I'll just put 1, all right? So it's capital JSMITH underscore 1. Let's hit add and see if we get through it. I will step in this. And here's the evaluator. What's the status? Status is 31. So we're good. If we hit F9, come down here and bring up our window. Well, it's not displaying valid password. Why isn't it doing that? Well, that's weird. Oh, that's because we told it not to. Okay, so it executed, if this is a valid password, then clear the caption and you're done. Basically, that's it. So that worked correctly. That worked correctly. Yep. There's no case in which it would display valid password. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for today. We've covered a lot of ground. We've added a new unit. So you see what it's doing here? It's adding all these crazy, this stuff that you don't need to look at. Okay. Well, as usual, if you found this content useful and you'd like to see more, please take the time to give me a like and and subscribe, and please feel free to leave comments. I would love to see more comments. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.